Guys are having a good weekend. Episode 3 of the Lazarus bit. It's been a very long week. We're starting at 5 p.m. This shouldn't take too long, maybe an hour or so. Depends on what we can cover. It's going to be a lot, but we'll tackle it the best we can here. I am with my second guest on this show, and that is with Shawn James. Shawn, thank you for coming on. Appreciate
Uh,
that.
thank, thank you for having me on the show.
Oh yeah, no problem. And you came like on time, like early student time, just like any any other organized person would. So that was good. No late, you know, late timing or nothing. So I appreciate that. So just a quick overview of anyone who hasn't seen this show before. This is a summary of other news that happened during the week that wasn't covered in a regular video because there's too much to cover. It's not possible. I can do 1 to 4 videos, but after that, everything else will just come on the show. This is a bi-weekly show. I try to do it at least twice a month, maybe once a month. It just depends. So, Shawn, I'm going to ask you some questions first, and then we can tackle the first topic. So, what actually got you on YouTube?
Well, what got me on YouTube was I was looking to expand my business because I'm the publisher of the SJS Direct imprint and I write African American fantasy and science fiction and positive black stories. So I was looking to increase my sales and I had been doing blogs for a good 5 or 6 years and I decided that I had gone as far as I could with blogging and I was very popular with blogging because at one time I was at 5,000 hits, but I wanted to get a larger audience. So I decided to get into YouTube in order to expand my audience and make an effort to reach more readers for my books on the SJS Direct imprint. Books like The Temptation of John Haynes, The Man Who Rules the World, and the books of the now recent John Haynes series, like A Conversation with Death and Dark Succubus, and this year's 2019 books like Isis All That Glitters and Esteem, Goddess of. I wanted to expand my audience for my books. So
Mhm.
that's why I came to YouTube. And I figure a lot of authors, they get their sales because people know them and they know their work. So I
Mhm.
wanted people to get to know me and I wanted them to get to know my work. So that's why I started going to YouTube and I started talking about comic books, science fiction, and the goth subculture because I wanted people to get to know me, get to know my knowledge, and that if they got to know me, they would want to go out here and try my books and shit and start reading my work.
Mhm. Yeah, and you made a lot of good points, to get to know you, right? Because back
Yeah,
then, YouTube was more about the personality, not about the expensive studios, the companies, just the heavy set setups everyone has nowadays, the advertising. It was just mainly about, okay, who's the person making the videos?
yeah, that's what it was about back then. Back then, it was just like I'm doing right now, a guy in a bedroom who is just making videos talking about something.
Yeah.
And
But back then, that was actually a very common setup. Like a lot of people still do it today. I mean, Review Tech USA does it,
yeah,
PewDiePie does it. A lot of those big guys do it. So it's a common setup. Back then, you could make a video and you could get some views on it pretty easily. You didn't have to worry about, oh, well, what's the title? What's the text? What's the description? You could just put something out and eventually you could get easy views on it. I used to be a anime reviewer back in the day, watching episodes. You know that community, the YouTube anime community,
yeah.
being that long, long time ago, and so I know what you're talking about. It's really changed. I think for the worse, honestly. Um, did you see that one person on YouTube, that Jasmine, that black chick who just came out of nowhere with the snake?
I have not seen that at all.
Okay, so she's a YouTuber who just came out of nowhere and has a million subs. I mean, within a month or so, she popped out of nowhere. And a lot of people think, that YouTube secretly put her in here just to make it seem like, okay, she's the new the new celebrity, YouTube celebrity, and like she's planted. That's what they said. They think she's a planted YouTuber.
Well, that seems kind of planted because I've seen people, they don't really grow like that all of a sudden, because I've seen goth YouTubers and it took them at least about 5 or 6 months. I mean, I remember Drac Makins. It took her about 6 months to get to 100,000 subs. So this would seem like it's planted.
Yeah, her videos. I'll give you the link later. But if you look at her videos, extremely edited for a first video. There's no way she didn't get help with that first video. And there's a tons of videos saying, what's going on with her, blah blah blah. But yeah,
Yeah, because I had read about them using these YouTube plants because they want to try to create personalities, but you can't create a personality.
exactly. So YouTube was based on, like I said, personality. These are average people coming
Yeah,
making videos, right? But now it's like you have Will Smith coming in, all these celebrities that just come out of nowhere and say, "Just want to make a channel for some reason, probably because of the advertising." Um, and then we had to compete with that, sadly. This is why you see on the trending tab, there's not a lot of interesting things on there, just random stupid clickbait type channels on there.
yeah.
Um, so what do you think? So okay, so what do you think about Black YouTube? Because I have to ask you because you're a YouTuber.
Well, Black YouTube, sadly, it's a really dysfunctional place. It's not really much about there as related to substantive content. It's a lot of arguing and going back and forth, and a lot of stuff talking about celebrities, but nothing really that much of substance. I mean, there are some brothers out there who are putting out substantive content, but a lot of it gets drowned in all of the ongoing drama in the black sector.
Mm-hmm. Because yeah, the assumption is, as if you're a black person on YouTube, you have to do makeup, comedy, or beef. That's pretty much what you're doing, or some type of music. So, but that's just an assumption, right? There's obviously people like you, me, other people out there who are trying to do other areas of YouTube, which have done quite well. Um, I'm pretty sure my area where we have people talking about comics and MCU all the time. Majority of this people are not. It's not a diverse area. If you've seen it,
Yeah,
everyone is pretty much the same voice, same name. Everyone's name Bill or Steve. It's like, where's everyone else? So that's what kind of motivated me to kind of start doing that content. I'm like, there has to be more people, right? I know a few YouTubers that do that stuff, like Random Black Gamer or Young Ripa, um, Jody's Corner, people like that. There's some other big anime channels who are black people who are doing like the Dragon Ball Z community. It
yeah,
got really big lately. They have some really big channels on the Dragon Ball community.
yeah.
I guess that's the Dragon Ball Super, but it's just not the majority. So I think it's kind of important that people like us do this type of content, and even the comic book people. I've seen a lot of um, people who do comic books, and majority it's just not diverse. So it's a good thing that you're doing it. And when I looked at your channel, I'm like, okay, yeah, you do know about all this pop culture stuff, so that's why I had to grab you on here.
Yeah, I grew up with this stuff. I mean, I grew up with this stuff since I was 4 years old. So that's something I've done for years. I mean, I was a comic collector for it was about 20 years, and I've been into action figures for about 25 years. So I know a lot about it, and that's why I wanted to shine a light on it, because we don't get to see black people talking about comics or action figures or things like anime or manga or the goth subculture. A lot of
Yeah.
people on black goth YouTube, they started getting more. I started seeing more of them come out when I started coming out talking about it, and I started to see that sector grow, because at one time nobody even talked about that. But when I
Mhm.
started talking about it, more people started coming out and making videos. And when I started talking about science fiction and fantasy, more people started coming out and talking about it more.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a lot of growing niches out there. It's just about kind of
Yeah,
starting out and trying. I mean, YouTube is not easy. Some people it takes years
I
to
know.
grow. Even back when I was doing anime, it was rough. I mean, if you didn't do like chapter reviews of Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece, you were pretty much irrelevant. Um,
Yeah.
so it is what it is. So what is, as a YouTuber, w- do you write notes before you do videos, or do you brainstorm before you do a video, or you just kind of wing it and go in? Because the way you do your videos, it's like you must be doing some note taking, or are you doing everything that's all in the brain?
I do everything inside of my head. All my videos are unscripted. They're ad libbed. They just, I have, because I'm a writer and because I
Yeah,
write books, I know how to organize my thoughts before I put a video together. So I
yeah,
usually break my arguments down in my head before I go on camera. And that's how I do things. I usually just, everything you see has never been scripted. It's all ad libbed.
that is crazy, man. Because for me, I mean, I have to have at least some notes, just jot something down. I can't. I can. It depends on the topic, though. If I'm really like interested into the topic, I can go in, but I need to have at least some pointers or something. When it comes to like articles or something. But that's pretty good, man. Because from your videos, I was like, does he have any notes? Because your videos are long. 10 on average minutes or so, but you're not taking any breaks or nothing. It's just straight dialogue. I'm like, wow, that is
Well, I learned how to do things live. So when you're doing things like that, you have to know everything that you're going to say because once you do a take, that's it.
So do you only do one takes, or have you sometimes, oh, let me do it again and then do it over, or what?
Sometimes I've stopped and I had to cut and then do another one, but usually what you see is a straight. After I get a take going, it's that's just me for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, just straight with no scripts whatsoever.
That's crazy, man. I don't know how you do that. So you have some humor to you. I mean, your videos are pretty serious, but I know that once in a while you laugh because there is some humor to you. I know it's out there because sometimes I'll watch a video and I'll see it and I'll laugh. Like the Birds of Prey video you did, like the first your opinions on it was, that was hilarious. I was like, it's like you're not trying to be funny, but in a way I can see that you're not just always serious all the time.
Well, that's my I was a comedy guy before I even did this because when I was back in the day, I was a very funny guy at one time, and I also write a lot of comedy. So sometimes I'll throw a joke in here or there, and it's hard for people to get the jokes that I
Oh,
do because even in my stories, I put a lot of humor in things, but people, if you have to really look for it to find it.
hmm. So, would you say that you're kind of like a dry humor type person?
Something like that.
Okay.
My comedy styles vary. I have different styles. I have a comedy style that I put in my books, like the ISIS series. I have little light moments there. I have a little bit of a dark comedy style that I put in the Spinsterella books, and then I have a different type of, kind of a Lois, like the old Silver Age Lois Lane type
Hmm.
humor that I put in my Eastine books. And I had a sitcom I did called All About Nikki, which was just like a Disney sitcom, and I learned how to write that style. And sometimes I make jokes from there, and I had some jokes that I had in that one that were a little bit more outrageous. I mean, I don't even show the whole spectrum of my whole comedy stylings on here. I just
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah,
you look at my literature, you'll see it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I could tell because I'm like, you're funny, man. But does everyone else realize he's funny, or it's just me? Like, yeah. I mean, yeah. So I like that though. That's cool though, because I think that's pretty cool. So what are your goals? I saw your video about YouTube and growing on YouTube. Do you have some goals? Like, do you want to? What's your YouTube goal? Is it to get 100K or something, or what's your next step on that?
Well, one of my goals with YouTube is to get to the maybe if I can get to the 20,000 sub mark. That's
Hmm.
a short term goal.
Hmm.
But one of the things I want to do with YouTube is actually grow my sales for my books on the SJS Direct Imprint. That's the main reason why I came here was to grow the sales.
Uh-huh.
And on the books, that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why you see the ads in front of my videos because I'm really trying to build the SJS Direct Imprint into a brand. So
Hmm.
that's one of my goals with YouTube is to use it as a commercial platform to reach readers on with SJS Direct products. And I also what I want to do is get people reading African American fantasy, science fiction, and that type of literature, so they can see that yes, we have fantasy with black people in it by black creators, and I also want to help out any other black creators out there.
Hmm. So let's touch on our first piece of news. Now, this came out actually a week or so. So, what are your thoughts on the new Ghostbusters? Now, let me first show us. Remember there was that reboot, female reboot, that only made 230 on average million with a budget of 144 million, which did pretty poorly. What are your thoughts about this new reboot that's coming?
I think it's something interesting. I've always been a big Ghostbusters fan,
Hmm.
but and I always like Ghostbusters, so I would like to see a satisfying conclusion to the Ghostbusters saga. If they can do that with the last movie, where they end the old Ghostbusters era and then transition to a new Ghostbusters, I'm all for it because I liked Extreme Ghostbusters back in the '90s because that was a great series that showed the passing of the torch from the first generation of Ghostbusters to the next generation. And I would love to see them actually bring Kylie to life because she was one of the most popular characters on Extreme Ghostbusters in the new movie. And I'd like to see them put some of the elements from Extreme Ghostbusters in there. If they can do that, it would be great. But I think that it might be one of the things that I really think would be a real missing element is the late Harold Ramis because he was one of the people who helped write the original Ghostbusters screenplay.
Hmm.
So I would love to see another Ghostbusters movie. I'd love to see them pass that torch to the next generation because the all female Ghostbusters, with the problems with the all female Ghostbusters, was
Hmm.
the fact that you had them trying to push a feminist agenda similar to what they did in Incredibles 2. But instead, with this one, we're getting a story that shows them passing that torch from one generation to the next in a way where we're seeing it being about the legacy of the Ghostbusters and not just them trying to push identity politics.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I watched the one before. It had some jokes and all of that, but honestly, it is a weak film. I wasn't too surprised, and what kind of gets me about this whole feminism thing, and I'm cool for equal rights and females being able to get good jobs and all that. That's cool, right? Because I have a daughter. So
Yeah,
that's great. But I mean, if you want this, right, then support the film, right?
yeah.
Obviously you guys didn't. So now we have to make a new one. And this whole, making a whole female cast thing that happened, I think with Ocean's 11 or so, they did another
It's
female.
Ocean's 8,
Ocean's
actually.
8. Did that one do that great? I don't
No,
think it did.
that one failed as well because of the identity politics as well.
Hmm. So obviously, people are asking for this, right? But they're not supporting it. So you can't get mad that they're going to do a reboot of Ghostbusters. You really can't. I mean, maybe if you supported that, we wouldn't be here right now. But I also think that trying to do these reboots, it's like a reboot gate, basically. We're always trying to reboot something. Sometimes it does well, sometimes it doesn't. Um, Remember, like Independence Day, I don't think anyone cared about the sequel because Will Smith wasn't in it.
Yeah, that and the story was finished. So
Hmm.
I watched the first one. The movie was finished. There was no need for a sequel.
Hmm. And then we had Jurassic World. Now, um, I liked the first one with Chris Pratt, but the sequel I just ignored. I don't even know if that did well. I think it did make some good money, but I'm not sure on the Blu-ray sales. I don't know if it did that great because I think people are just kind of tired of Jurassic World, honestly.
Yeah, well, after a certain amount of movies, I learned people do get tired of the films. Usually, after the third one, people have had their fill of it and they want to move on to something else. What I
Hmm.
see with a lot of people is they want to see something new and fresh, and they want to see some new characters. And
Hmm.
Hollywood, with all these reboots, it just they don't want to give anybody anything new because they're afraid of failure, and they're also afraid to invest in new creators and give them money because they know these days there's no more work for hire, so you're going to have to pay the extra rates for the rights. So what they want to do is they don't want to pay these creators today, like myself. They don't want to pay us for the rights for our new concepts. So what they want to do is try to keep using these old concepts so they can continue to try to profit off them, not understanding that these properties in many cases are 30 and 40 years old. And the kids of today, they're not interested in watching these concepts that come from the 80s most of the time, and they really don't want to watch that. So it's 30, 35 years old, and that's not their life. That's not their experience. What they want to see are stories related to their world and their experience. And that's why we're seeing this drop in people going to the movies, because they don't see themselves or their experiences put on screen.
Right. It is true. People are not going to the movies as much anymore. Well, I would say also the competition is Netflix and streaming services.
Yeah,
Hulu, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus coming out, HBO. You got a lot of competition for that Friday release, because
yeah.
now you can just get a new show on Friday on Netflix, and oh hey, you could finish it, within the weekend and have that content for the whole weekend instead of just going to the movie at one go and you're done.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
because there's a lot of competition for people, a lot of different things, and plus Netflix, from what I'm hearing from a lot of the millennials is, and the Gen Zs, is that they don't have a lot of money. So Netflix is what, $8.99, because that's what I'm paying right
yeah,
now,
yeah,
and
standard edition.
you get $8.99. You can watch all the stuff you want, and
Uh-huh.
it's brand new. Versus the movie theater, which is $15, and you can get four or five of your friends together. You can get some chips. You guys can sit back and joke around in front of the big screen, and people would rather do that than have to go outside of their house, because a lot of millennials, they stay home these days,
Uh-huh.
and they can't afford. A lot of them can't afford to go on the bus or the train, so it's more convenient for them, and that's what the studios don't understand.
Yeah, because even that whole setup you just explained, getting your friends together, communicate, transportation, food in theaters is terrible. I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking about $5 for a bottle of water.
Oh, I know about it. I went because I went to a couple of theaters. I used to go to Magic Johnson to do reviews for movies like Wonder Woman and Black Panther. I couldn't afford the food. I just bought the tickets, and then I ate when I left. I went to
Yeah,
a restaurant afterward.
yeah. I mean, a lot of us, what we do now, we just take our free water bottles from home and let's
Yep.
go get a couple things and go. I mean,
Yep.
it is what it is. I mean, and it's not our fault. I mean, if you want us to go to the movies, make things a bit cheaper, especially
Yeah.
people who have kids, they're spending like 50, $60. Meanwhile, you can get your kids together and watch a new show on Netflix for what, $7 or $8.
Yeah. I have a family member who works in college, and he told me that people, what they're doing is that they will just go wait for Netflix. They hear about the movie. They're like, I'll wait for Netflix, or because sometimes you can get free Amazon Prime for a month.
Yeah, you
And
can. Yep.
that's what they do. They go get that free Amazon Prime. I just did that last month. I got a free Amazon Prime. I finally watched a couple of movies that I missed on the theaters.
Yeah, yeah. And the funny thing about Amazon, they'll recycle that free trial
Yeah.
maybe every 2 years or so. I'm like, all right, I'll take it. I'll take it
Yep.
for 30 days, So that's the problem. So we have a new Breaking Bad movie coming out called El Camino. And the guy, who is it? Our Aaron Paul is coming back. They had a little small teaser trailer for it. It seems like his career has kind of dipped ever after he left Breaking Bad. Seems like he made a lot of bad choices. They did hint that he was trying. He had a potential good gig available, but he didn't take it. I don't know why. Maybe it was MCU related, or I don't know, comic book related. Who knows? But he rejected it. So he's been on a few shows on Hulu. He's in that Horseman show on Netflix. So him coming back with Breaking Bad is pretty good for him. I mean, he had a main role in that Need for Speed film, which no one cared about. So I'm happy for him. Um, and I think this is a test to see, okay, how many people are going to watch this, and if they watch it, they'll put out some new series. I think that's the test they're trying to do here.
And that's what I see with this movie. They're probably trying to do now. They're probably trying to test the waters to see if he's viable. Because when they put a film project on Netflix, usually that's so they can see if they could use it or either in a theater or they can use it in a television series. So this is like something that they do to feel out. I talked about that type of project in my screenplay book, All About Maryland, where I talked about how when they have a star that they're trying to do something with, they usually give them a test project, and then
Mhm.
if that does well, that's when they start to give them a full push.
Mhm. Yeah, it's definitely a test. I mean, by the time when you're reached your, especially in 20s guys, 30s guys, when you reach this age, it's like you kind of know the techniques they're doing now. Back when I was younger, I had no idea. I didn't think about all these things, but now I just I'm like, okay, I get it. I see what you're doing here. Um, so exciting, but we'll see if it's actually going to deliver or not. Um, but Breaking Bad, if anyone hasn't seen that show, please check it out. I mean, it's on Netflix. One of the best shows on there, honestly. Um, I think it's one of Bryan Cranston's best shows, really. Um, in my opinion, this is best lead role. Um, so definitely check that out. Let me see. Let me get another. Oh, okay. Here's a question for you. We can get out of the news lately. So, how about for new guys on YouTube? What would you advise people who want to grow a channel on YouTube, and what advice would you give them? Because I mean, you've reached 10K or 11K, which is a pretty good spot, I would say.
Yeah,
Um,
it's all right. Well, I would like to do better, but
yeah, of
it's a
course,
good.
but
It's a good.
we're
It.
talking about Black YouTube though. For
Yeah.
Black YouTube, that's good.
Yeah.
So, how do you think you got there, and what do you think would be good tips for people like me or other people who are trying to?
Well, my advice would be you got to just keep producing content on a consistent basis, because when you produce content on a consistent basis, people will know when to look for you. So I remember back in my blogger days, I read an article on about ebooks, and they told me that if you want to reach your audience, you have to continue to give them fresh content. And what I would do back when I was writing blogs was I would always put out blogs either Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I would do 3 blogs a week,
Mhm,
or I do them on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So if you continue to produce consistently, people will know to look for you, and they'll be anticipating your next video. The other thing you want to do
mhm,
is create compelling content. So that's another thing that you want to do, and that's one of, if you're well versed in subject matter, you can make compelling content based on things you like doing. Like, I'm a big time comic fan. I'm a big sci-fi fan.
mhm,
I'm an action figure collector, and I also write my own stuff. So I know how to make different topics on those subjects, and I also knew about things like the comic book industry and the publishing industry, and I also know something about the entertainment business, and I knew about different subjects, so I know how to make compelling content, and that's one of the things that you have to have is that content, because that content is what's going to drive your views, and it's going to get people excited for your next video. So if you have really are really good at making great content, then you're going to get the views, you're going to get the subs, because people are going to want to see your next video because they know you're going to give them something that is going to be solid. Now, the other thing you have to do when you're on camera is make sure you put together a cohesive argument on screen, and make all your points very clearly and succinctly, and you have to make sure that every point you make is pretty much organized. Like, from when I do videos, I try to tackle one topic to the next and one topic to the next in a way that it flows and people can see how everything works together. So
mhm,
that's another thing you want to do when you're making videos, is make sure that all the topics come together. That's what I learned how to do with videos, but when I take it to live streams, I also do that as well, so that when I'm on the air live, I'm not just sitting there talking, but everything is flowing into a sequence so that everybody can see how things work together. So that's also part of making compelling content. And the other thing you have to have is a charisma and presence, and that's another thing that will really get people excited about your next video, because people don't just watch videos based for content, but they also like to watch uh, people who are very charismatic, because that's what brings them back and keeps them coming back, because it's how you present the information that makes it exciting, and it's how you make the information appear on screen.
mhm. You made a good point about what is entertaining, and see, I feel like the standards for Black YouTube versus regular YouTube is completely different. Um, do you know about the food community on YouTube?
Not
Guys who do
really.
food reviews. Do you know a guy called Review Bra?
No, I haven't heard of him. I haven't been to that side of YouTube yet.
So, okay, this guy. This guy is the most monotone dude I know. He wears a suit every video and does a review on the food, the selected food items every single week. This guy is, I mean, if you watch his channel, he's like a 1 million channel. He's big.
Yeah.
But see, he got a following, right? But for some people, in Black YouTube, they'll be like, well, this guy's whack. Like, what kind of, that's not an entertaining channel. But see, on the other side, look at this growth. I mean, he's actually been on Comedy Central, on Tosh. He appeared on Tosh's show once. He's a big deal.
Yeah, because he has compelling content. He may be monotone, but the subjects he talks about are exciting. And it's his delivery that makes him a draw to other people. The problem with Black YouTube is they don't really talk about much outside of gender war, relationships, dating. There's no real talk much about anything. Whereas I would do different topics because I want to reach all those other parts of the black sector of YouTube that never get talked about, like the black goth scene, black comic collectors, black anime, black manga, and the black toy collectors. They don't get talked about at all.
Oh yeah, true.
And
Yeah, toy
they,
collectors. Those are big guys. Those are big.
yeah, they don't get talked about that much because it doesn't fit the part of the black sector of YouTube. And what's even crazier is the black sector of YouTube. There's just so much jealousy and anger. Whenever somebody starts to come up, you get somebody who flags the guy's channel down before the channel can take off. And I've seen that happen a lot.
Yeah.
And just as the guy's channel is taking off, they flag the channel, and then a lot of the guys, they make content where they're making a lot of profanity, and they do things that lead to these reviewers taking their channels down. Whereas the other parts of YouTube, there people are just making content, and they just make basic content that is meant to compel people, and it's just good content. It has good information, and it
Mhm.
has good subject matter. But when you get to the black sector, it's just the same stuff all the time, same gender war stuff, same back and forth stuff, same beefs, and that kind of content, it gets kind of old and repetitive over time. And what happens
Yeah.
is people wind up not wanting to watch it because it's the same thing again and again. One of the things a creator has to do is they have to keep making their content fresh and keep trying to find different things to make their content fresh. And this is something I learned as a publisher, that if I want to make my content fresh, I just can't keep writing the same stories over and over again. I
Mhm.
have to come up with new concepts. I have to come up with different stories because that's how I reach new customer bases. And that's how I also keep the old customer bases excited. So I remember when I was doing the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, I said I wanted to do a book about black goths. So I wanted to do that because I wanted to reach a new customer base, which is the black goth subculture and the overall goth subculture. But I wanted to introduce people to a new heroine and a new different concept because most people don't know much about the goth subculture. So I wanted to use those books to bring people in because when you have a great story that's something different, people want to come in and go pick it up and read it. And I got a lot of positive feedback on those books. And right now I'm working on a vampire novel um, called Eternal Night because I wanted to do a black vampire story. So I'm always looking to do something fresh and different because I know if you keep writing the same books over and over, or you keep making the same videos over and over, you might get the same people who like to watch that type of thing, but you're not going to bring in anybody new.
Mhm. Okay, you that was a really deep answer. But let's pause and ask. Rain has a question for you, Sean. Go ahead
Yeah.
and ask that question, Rain. And also be sure to like the video, people, as that definitely does help. And I shared this on Twitter as well.
Okay.
I think that comment will load soon. Well, one of the comments I'll mention it. Um, so yeah, that was a really good question. Really good answer that you had. In in honest to you, I actually once I'd had after my big hiatus, I actually thought, I was watching the Black Sector stuff, right? I'm like, okay, let me try this, right? Because it's been a while since I've been on YouTube. I'm like, okay, well, I know how to edit, I know how to do things. Let me try it again, right? And my first three videos, I tried doing this whole the typical stuff, right? And I'm like, I can't do this. There's no way I can't do it. I'm like, because you have to have passion to be doing content that you like it. How can I do this specific topics and I just can't do it? So I completely just scratch that away. I'm like, okay, what am I really good at? What do I really like? Okay, I like the comic books. I like the video games. I like the anime. I like talking about movies a lot because when I'm working a full time job, it's not I'm not able to talk to anyone about anything when it comes to the Disney news or anything. I just have to have the poker face on, and when I leave, then I can talk to friends about the stuff that we care about. So I'm like, maybe I can use YouTube, to counter that off. To find people who want to talk about the comic books, the shows, the TV shows, and all that stuff. Because corporate America, sadly, people like me are very few. Especially, I'm in IT, by the way,
Oh, okay.
and there is no one like me at my job. I have to leave work to talk about, Mysterio or something, or Venom or something, you know. So, like you said, I agree. You have to find what you have interest in, and trust me, it's been very fun getting to talk about superheroes like this because before I wasn't doing that. Um, so that's why it never gets old for me because, I mean, we're always finding something new out, about different characters or whatever. Um, oh, and I'm slowly getting into comics. I got the Batman Volume 3.
Oh,
I
okay.
I read 1 and 2 a long ago, so I'm trying to get this is like my sixth attempt. And I got Old Man Logan because I heard it was good, and after watching Logan, I need to read that. And I
Okay.
got House of X Volume 1, and I got Joker, a Joker on DC Black. Um, so I got that too. So um, I just thought, to get deeper into the niche, why not go from the source? Because that's where it goes. Okay, there's a question. So is Sean Jane making his living from YouTube and his books? Is it enough to sustain him and possibly provide or contribute to a family? Okay.
All right, I can answer that. Well, it's a nut. Well, the whole thing is with YouTube does not make you a lot of money, and books don't make you a lot of money. I mean, I'm right now. I would love to have a full time job right now to supplement things, but when it comes down to YouTube and my books, it's like I'm doing all right, but I'm not making enough money to like where I can go out here and pay bills. Right now, I'm living with somebody, but and I'm trying to get things to go. So with the books, I make some money. With the donations, I make some money, and with YouTube, I make some money. But it's not enough to live off of. It's just something I'm doing because I love comic books. I love science fiction. I love fantasy, and I want to see more people picking up black science fiction, black fantasy, and I want to see more people getting to know more about those subjects. So that's why I do YouTube, and I also do promotion because I want to get my books out there, get my writing out there, and share my writing with people. I mean, sometimes you have to make a sacrifice in order to do things, and that's what I'm trying to do with this work. It's like because I'm out here and when I go out here, it's because I love writing. I love sharing stories, and I also love sharing my work with other people. And this is something I'm doing because I'm still looking for work, but until I can get that full time job, I'm still trying to build a business. And I've always been building a business. Even when I did have a job, I was always out here building a business, and I wanted to do that because I like fantasy, I like science fiction, and my mission back in the '90s was to create positive stories with black characters. So even though I'm not making a lot of money, I'm making a lot of progress. I'm reaching a lot of readers. And just yesterday, I found out I sold a John Haynes Dark Succubus in South Africa. So that was a shock to me. And I recently found out I sold a copy of Spellbound in Australia. So I'm reaching readers in parts of the world I never thought I would ever reach in parts of the world. And that's something that I found to be a surprise to me that I've reached so many readers all over the world with my work. I mean, I've had books like ISIS sell in the UK and Germany and places like that, and that's something that I'm doing. But as for I would love to see myself make more money and get more sales and be able to make a living with YouTube and my books. But we'll have to see where God takes things.
Hmm. Good question. Good question. So about what you were saying with Black YouTube, I've seen what you're talking about, the competition. I've seen people flag people. I've seen people, always hiding sub counts. I've seen bullying. I've seen like all these different cliques all over the place. Um, and something I've also seen is less networking. I think Black YouTube does a really bad job with networking. Um, this is compared to a normal YouTuber like the PewDiePies of the world and all that stuff.
Yeah,
The McJugger Nuggets of the world. I mean, these people are networking like crazy behind the scenes, and it's really obvious. It's really obvious, you know. Um, Even when I was even telling some other people, when you interview someone, have their name in the title. Have their link to their channel in the description. Do these
yeah,
basic things. That's how you collab. I mean, and a
yeah.
lot of these people are not doing that. I'm like, you guys. I mean, how do you think we're gonna get more out there if we're not liking and promoting our own creators out here?
Well, one of the big problems with Black YouTube is that everybody sees each other as an enemy, and everybody spends more time fighting with each other than working with each other. So there's not a lot of people talking about networking and working together in on Black YouTube. A lot of time it's just everybody's so jealous of somebody else's success that they would rather flag a channel and tear it down rather than work to build the channel up. Now, I myself, I want to build up other channels. And when I did an appearance on Obsidian Radio, I talked about his channel in a positive way. And when I would do live streams, I would talk about other channels and other products that I've gotten a chance to take a look at. Like a guy, Chris L. Brown, he showed me his Omega Black manga. And after I bought 2 copies of his manga, I went out here and I made a video promoting that manga. And when he was trying to do crowdfunding, I went out and promoted his manga. And I've done this for other Black comic pros out there. Raymond Leonard, he had his Agent Solo book, and I went out and I promoted his book. Josh Howard, he came out with the T-Bird and Throttle, and I went out and promoted his work. And the guy who does my covers, Bill Walko, he had a couple of Kickstarters, and I promoted it on YouTube. But when it comes down to Black YouTube, they don't think about working together like that or trying to share other people's work. Now, the only place I've seen where they do a lot of really strong networking is Goth YouTube. I've seen Goth YouTubers work together a lot. I've seen them do collaborative videos. I've seen them come together at things like the YouTube events. I've seen them go out here and work together towards making sure that their scene and their image online are up to a certain code. And I even got support from Goth YouTube when I was doing the books of the Spinsterella trilogy. I mean, one of the Goth YouTubers, Amy Necrotique, she talked about Spellbound on her channel, and I've had other Goth YouTubers. They would talk about different subjects, and they've always been supportive of me over there on Goth YouTube. That sector, they really work together a lot towards collaboration. They work on events. They always come together. You'll see them like at their events. People will be talking to each other and meeting up with each other, and it's never like Black YouTube where it's everybody's an adversary. Everybody hates each other. I
Yeah.
mean, just so much jealousy and so much anger. You don't see people working together. Now, I try to work together and build bridges, but when it comes down to Black YouTube, they don't really know how to do that. And that's why Black YouTube isn't as strong as other sectors of YouTube. I mean, Black YouTube could be way bigger than what it is, but
Yeah.
all the gender war infighting and all of the backbiting keeps it from growing and actualizing its potential.
Yeah. Um, Rain, I see your question, but let's go back to the news real quick because I got a lot of articles to kind of gloss over. Um, all right. So, Lord of the Rings returns to Amazon TV. So, I guess it's going to be on Amazon Prime. I did hear there was a stupid story about this, Sean, that apparently someone wants Gandalf to be a female. Did you hear about this?
And I read about that, and that's
And
not what Tolkien made. So
yeah, and
I'm one of those guys who's like this. If the creator made a character a certain way, you need to respect that, because if the creator made it that way and you want to do an adaptation, the only way you're going to get a solid adaptation that people are going to support is if you follow what the creators originally made.
correct. And this is what we were talking about before is, you want this other type of movie, but you're not going to support. I mean, I feel like it's kind of stupid. I mean, the last all the Lord of the Rings, I mean, they've had females in it. So what's the problem? It's always been a co-ed type series, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's the beef? I just don't understand why Gandalf. I mean, that
Well,
you
the
know,
thing is with many of these what they call social justice warriors is that they want to force diversity, and what they want to do is change the narrative of the what they want to do is change the narrative of the story to fit their personal politics. So they don't want Gandalf actually to be himself because they want to interject a female Gandalf so they can introduce feminism. But when you look at the world of Middle Earth, does feminism actually work in Middle Earth? It just that whole argument and that whole narrative doesn't fit within the whole world of Middle Earth. But they want to try to interject it in there, and that's what makes the whole story fall completely apart. And these people want to put their modern takes on the world of the past, not understanding that in history, these things are written this way because they were oftentimes commentaries about a time, or they were historical documentations of a time. So you trying to bring in modern things into something written from the past is just not going to work at all.
hmm I would agree with that. Um, so Amazon got, I guess Amazon got the rights to this license, so that's why they're trying to bring it back. Lord of the Rings is, the last trilogy I didn't really like, honestly. I think the first one was better, in my opinion. What did you think about the last one that we saw, the last trilogy?
Well, I didn't see that one. I didn't have any money back then, so I missed it.
Wait,
I missed a lot of stuff.
you're not even gonna watch it online or nothing?
I haven't heard of it. I mean, I haven't had so much time. I've been busy with
God.
my own projects.
Oh, all right, that's cool. All right, let's go to the next one. Do it a little quick earlier. Okay. Carry the next one right here. This is quick. So I wanted to talk a little bit about John Wick. So John Wick 3 was the best film of the trilogy, and because I've heard because of John Wick 3 being so well, that's why we're even getting a new Matrix. So because of this, um, and it said it grossed over 170 million domestically and 320 million worldwide. Um, and this is the whole reason why they're getting we're getting a Matrix coming soon, and the sales on home release also did pretty well too, the best in Lionsgate's in the 5 years. So Keanu Reeves is a funny actor to me. In some movies he's great, in some films they're like poor, right? But the way his choice of films is very unique though, right?
Yeah.
I loved it in Constantine. I loved him in what was it? Devil's Advocate, I think it was. Devil's Advocate. Loved him in Matrix. Um, Obviously John Wick. What do you think about Keanu Reeves? Did you watch John Wick at all?
No, but I have seen The Matrix, and I know that Keanu Reeves oftentimes takes a lot of risks. And when he goes out and takes risks, he gets the big box office. So he's willing to take on characters that most other actors would pass on. So
Mm,
that's why he has such great success. And John Wick came at a time when some people were tired of superhero movies. They wanted something different. And people want to see something different, went and saw John Wick because it also featured what a lot of guys have been wanting. They want to see a strong masculine hero. Because I hear that from a lot of guys out there. They say that they really want to see a strong masculine hero in a more adult type movie. Because a lot of the Marvel movies, for a lot of guys, they come across as something for kids, but they wanted something a little bit edgier, something a little bit harder. And we haven't really had that type of movie. I mean, back in the 80s when I was growing up, we used to get those type of movies all the time.
mhm.
But these movies are rare these days because we get so many movies get directed at children and preteens and teens, but we don't really get a lot of the hard action movies like we used to get in the 80s and for a good chunk of the 90s before everything just became about making just mostly superhero movies. So a lot of John Wick does is he's like the old school traditional male hero, and the whole thing is he's Keanu Reeves is so bankable. That's why they want to do Matrix 4 because they want to get back to that old school action crowd
Hmm.
that we also saw with Rambo Last Blood. A lot of people wanted to go see that one, I believe, because they want to see a old school, good old school action movie where the hero just beats up on bad guys.
Hmm. Okay, you had some good comments there, but here's the problem with that, right? Can these classic action series and franchises compete with the MCU and the DCU? But or should they even attempt to do so and just produce what they can? What do you think about that?
I think they I can compete with the MCU. I even think they could beat the MCU if possible. I mean, the old school action movies. There's a lot of you have a lot of creativity you can get there, and you have a lot if you have the right director and the right writer. You can literally create a whole new world of characters. You're not really bound to source materials, and you can just make characters and stories that are unique, and the actors can they're not bound by a comic book or a script. They can do things like ad lib and come up with their own stuff. And because when I looked at the documentaries on movies like RoboCops and Terminators,
Oh,
a lot
okay,
of
yeah.
that stuff was ad libbed, and a lot of that stuff was just done off the cuff. And a lot of the guys had creative control that they wouldn't have on your superhero movie where you just kind of roped in.
Hmm. Okay. Rain, we're gonna get to your question now. No worries. So, what business is he building? How long has it been building? And what gets in the way of the business sustaining him?
What business am I building? I am building the SJS Direct imprint. The SJS Direct imprint is a publishing imprint that is dedicated towards creating positive stories about African Americans and the African American experience and diversifying the black book market with books and genres like African American fantasy, African American science fiction, screenplays, and books like my men's issues books. It's about the SJS Direct imprint is a place where black people can see black characters in stories like the ISIS series, which features a positive story about a heroine based on the Egyptian gods. The John Haynes series, which is a series about a black man who is a CEO who takes on supernatural forces of evil. You have the East Team series about formerly she was a devilish diva, now she is Hell's aspiring angel. She's a demon who left Lucifer's Legion and is now trying to walk straight with Christ. And I also do books that are like the Spinsterella series, which is about an African American goth. And I've done books in the past like the screenplay books I did all about Marilyn and all about Nikki, which gave you one Nikki books gave you a sitcom type story about a black girl in Beverly Hills, and the Marilyn books gave you a story about a faded former black sitcom star trying to rebuild her life. And I did a romance called A Recipe for Success, which was about a black owned business in Brooklyn. And what was the other part of the question?
How long has he been building, and what gets in the way of that business sustaining him?
I have been building the SJS Direct imprint for over 10 years. I started the imprint in 2009, but I had been doing publishing with print on demand companies since 2002, and I've been writing ever since I was 9 years old. But I've been building the business ever since 2009, and I've been trying to sustain the business over the last couple of years, usually with the royalties I get and sometimes with the donations I get, because the things that really hold me back are a lack of funds most of the time, because sometimes I don't have the money to put things like quality covers on the books, and because I don't have the money to put a quality cover on the book, I have to delay a book. But when I have the money to put quality covers on the books, it leaves to a strong first impression on the reader. Because one of the first things people see on a book is the cover. And I used to hand draw my covers for books like Temptation of John Haynes, and I used to get negative things because people would say the cover was lousy, but people would say that the story was great. So I would try to save my money. Like when I first did Isis Wrath of the Cyber Goddess, I think I have that book here. Yeah, when I did Isis Wrath of the Cyber Goddess, I had to sell parts of my toy collection in order to pay Bill Walker to do this cover, and I was trying to get change the impression of my books because people say I'm a solid writer, but I needed the covers to be right. So that's the thing that holds me back was the covers. And ever since I was able to start getting donations, I was able to put quality book covers on books like Dark Succubus and books like All That Glitters, and it's one of those things that helps things a lot. But the whole thing is that it costs money to put covers on because comic artists, they don't work for free. So that's a major challenge for me. The other challenge that I have is getting the word out about the books, because when it comes down to African American fantasy, a lot of people in the black community, they really are not big on fantasy the way they are on nonfiction, like I do, like the Man Crisis. But that's the whole challenge, is getting the word out and building that word of mouth, because that's the biggest challenge for me, are having the funds to do covers and having that word of mouth. So Patreon has helped out a lot with the covers, and helping me get the funds for covers. But I also still need to get more readers, and I'm trying to get more word of mouth out about the books I produce.
I might be able to. You said something interesting, man. Because the last person I interviewed, like told you, my last classmate, he's an artist. Might
Yeah.
have to, I can try to contact him for you because he draws. Um,
Well, I
do you
have
think?
I have Mike Williams doing covers, and the whole thing is that he does great work. I mean, people love Mike's covers. They love Mike's covers. Mike did a conversation with Death, and he did the Dark Succubus cover. He also did a cover for a book I did called The Legendary Mad Matilda, and
Mhm.
people love his art. He did a comic strip called Deke Sledge, and it's a detective story similar to Dick Tracy, but I love his art, and his art really fits the John Haynes character, and people want to
Mhm.
see more of it. But I'm looking for art. I'm looking to get covers done. I mean, my catalog for 2020 is almost complete. I mean, I got the books. They've been laid out. I've already talked to Bill Walko about the ISIS cover, and
Mhm.
I have a cover for the next John Haynes book. And right now, I just need to get the Eastian concepts done, and I'm almost there on the 2020 catalog.
Mhm.
So I'm getting there, but the whole thing is I have to see more book sales in order to get things really going. If I can get things really going, what I want to do is get a comic out here and a graphic novel. I tried to do it this year because I thought that people in Comicsgate wanted to buy, new comics, but the whole Indiegogo didn't work, so I'm regrouping on that,
Mhm.
and we'll see what happens with that because I'm talking to somebody about this. But I'm hoping to get something going sooner rather than later. But the whole thing is I can get things going faster if
Mhm.
I can get the word of mouth on the sales up on all the books.
Mhm. Yeah, and this is the whole reason why you're doing YouTube, to get your name out there.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. All right. So, good question, Rain. Um, okay, so let me go to the next topic. Let me see. And please like the video and share it because that does help. So, are you a collector of the DC animated films, Sean?
Yes, I am. I have the Bruce Timm ones, that is. I have all those DVDs. I have the Batman animated, I have the Superman animated, I have Justice League, I have Justice League Unlimited, I have Batman Beyond. So I
Yeah.
have I have all those.
So DC's been going in on these animated films like every other month, man. They're coming out with something good. Like I've been collecting them, and looks like they're gonna be. Well, first they're gonna be the Wonder Woman's coming out later this year, I think, and then after that, the Red Sun Superman's coming, and let's see, I think it's coming out next year. Yeah, Wait, what year is it coming out?
I think it's coming out this year or next year.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, next year. Next year. So about these animated films, man, why do you think has Marvel just pretty much given up on this market?
I don't think they've given up. I just don't think they know have a vision for it. I mean, Disney's business originally was animation, so you think they would be knocking this one out of the park. I mean, Disney should have been able to knock this one out of the park. I mean, if you look at the work they did on Gargoyles,
Oh yeah.
that's the direction they should have gone on an Avengers series or an X-Men series or even a Spider-Man series. And you could easily get a guy like Greg Weisman to come in and really put together a solid animated series or an animated movie based on a Marvel character. I just don't know why they haven't done it because the talent is there, the resources are there, and with Disney again being one of the homes that invented hand drawn animation, you would think they would go for this and go with the money in the bank.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. It is odd, um, because like I said, DC has just been putting it out, but it seems like they're trying. They're all over the place with live adaptations, but when it comes to the Blu-ray and DVD market, they're just doing it every single time. Um, yeah, I guess it's funny that way. I guess every company has their own strength and weaknesses, pretty
Yeah.
much. So you mentioned Disney. So we're gonna talk. Oh, sorry. Oops, open my Steam account. um, so are you getting Disney Plus, by the way?
I'm thinking about it. I just after seeing, I'm thinking about it. It just depends on how much money I can get from from Patreon. If I can get patrons to help pay for it, I would get it to go have a subscription because the Netflix is paid for by the patrons and the donations I get. But that's the only way I can pay for the internet and I can pay for those streaming services is with the donations to my Patreon or or the Cash Apps or things like that.
Yeah. So this is what they said. Marvel said that a lot of these shows on Disney Plus, these new shows, the Hawkeye and all that stuff, they're gonna have a budget of 150 million. Do you think this is the right move? Or do you think this is just kind of a way to hype things up? Because remember, the characters do connect to the MCU, so they're gonna have the same actors. So I do see why they would increase the budget, but I guess that I would say they need to really wait to see how successful these shows go. Or what do you think?
I think that that's a little bit much. I mean, I remember back in the day when they were doing Hercules and Xena, they weren't spending that kind of money. But I guess they want to stay consistent with the MCU. But I think they should have, pulled back a bit on the series and not announced so many because you want to see how these series do. You want to take your time, launch one series and see how it does with the ratings, and see how much money you're going to make off it before you pour so much money into something. I think they should have really not spent that kind of money like that. $150 million is a little bit much for a TV series that's going to be streaming. I mean, Netflix's Luke Cage didn't even spend that type of money. Um, Luke Cage was an incredibly good series because of the solid writing and Chio Hodari Coker's vision, and that's the thing they really need to focus on more is the vision of the creators and not really think that throwing money at something is going to make something of quality because that was the approach Disney used with Star Wars, and we see what they got with the
Yeah.
Disney trilogy movies. They spent a lot of money on them, but you just don't see the quality on the screen.
Yeah, I would say the only film recently on Star Wars I liked was Rogue One. I say was not that bad. Um when it comes to, at least it was kind of decent. What do you think?
You know, I hadn't seen Rogue One, but I saw the clips with Darth Vader, and they looked pretty okay. But as I see it, Disney has not really done a good job with Star Wars so far. I mean, when I saw Force Awakens, I saw Last Jedi on Netflix,
Last
and
Jedi was so bad.
that was just all over the place. It was just a disaster of a film, and it's just that it doesn't matter how much money you have if you don't have a good script and you don't have a guy with vision, you're not going to be able to produce anything of quality. You really
Mm,
want to have guy who can produce something of quality and have somebody who has a vision to come in and they can come in and make a really solid story for the viewers. So that's something that Disney isn't focusing on with their properties. They're really focusing on a lot of it based on the brand recognition, but they're not thinking about what the substance of the stories should be, or trying to put together any type of quality content that really makes the characters and the stories really be something compelling.
Hmm. Yeah, I would agree to that. And I also think like the casual moviegoer, um, what do they mainly care about? They care about the Jedi's. They care about the lightsabers. The merchandising. You're only showing one or two Jedi's in two films straight. Maybe the whole trilogy. There's only two Jedi's. As a casual out there will be like, well, I want to see more people, right? Um, I know the prequels get a lot of hate, like Revenge of the Sith and all that, but honestly, though, I actually did like Revenge of the Sith. Like honestly, I guess because it was so focused on dark side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And to me, um, I would love a film based on Darth Malik or Darth Raven or something like the Knights of the Old Republic old games back on Xbox. If they could do a film that's strictly on Sith, I think a lot of even hardcore guys would like that.
yeah, I think people would like that too. I mean, that's a side of Star Wars they could have explored. I said that instead of them trying to, continue the trilogy, they should have done other parts of the Star Wars universe, and that would have been a moneymaker for them. I mean, I would rather see them do a Boba Fett movie or a Darth Maul movie.
Oh
You know,
God, yeah, Darth Maul would have been crazy.
I mean, or give us a Darth Vader movie, give us something, or even just give us a new group of characters in the Star Wars universe, say, set after the fall of the Empire, show us how these people are struggling in the aftermath of the fall of the Empire, or the start of the rebuilding of the New Republic. Give us something that has more substance to it rather than just give us a story that is based on the original characters in the original trilogy. Let's just move to some new characters and find out how they're doing in this universe.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna have to blame Disney on this because, see, the pattern of Disney is they're always focusing on the good guys, um, the more brighter folk. If you think about it, there's really hasn't been any villain-based movie in the MCU.
Yeah,
Not really. I mean, Endgame felt like a Thanos film, but it was more on the light side of things, right? We
yeah,
haven't like the new Joker that I'm going to see tonight. We have not seen a villain based film, and maybe Loki is going to be good as a TV show, but it's not going to be gritty. I mean, it's Loki, right? It's
yeah,
Disney Loki. It's not going to be like I'm sure Loki in the comics. I'm sure he's even worse in the His real stuff is way deeper
yeah,
in on screen. So, but they make a lot of money. We get it. But I think certain fans are kind of like, well, I want to see this other stuff. So how do I see it? I guess Mandolin. Hopefully that TV show is good. I know the Star Wars does really well with the Rebels TV show or
yeah.
Star Wars Clone Wars. Those are really good. Um, so we'll see. I'm gonna watch the last Skywalker in December. I'm probably do a review on it. Hopefully, it's something decent. We'll see. I don't know. Um, so that's my thoughts on that. So let me go to the next one. Let's see. Let me see if I have any questions for you. Um, oh, and Rain has a comment here. Did you see Rain's chat?
No, I haven't seen any chats. Let me see.
She said uh she said that you should see like a business consultation or consultant.
Oh, I may just do that. I may just do that. But I've just been trying to do everything, online with social media because that's where the customers are. That's where they've been for me for the last 10 years.
Hmm.
So that's why I call SJS Direct because I go direct to my customers.
Hmm. So so what's I'm trying to think. Um, you said something. What would you say? You gave me the. You said you answered a question about YouTube advice. You talked about your channel. Um, okay, so how about when you do those little intros to your books? Music from.
Oh, I get that music right off YouTube. There's a YouTube stock music section. It's rights free. Before then, I used a Apple software called I was it not iMovie. It was a part of the iMovie really, and I used the stock music from there. But more recently, I've been using music straight from YouTube's stock section.
Hmm. So, are you gaming currently, or you're too busy and focused on other things?
I'm so busy. I used to have a PlayStation. I had a PS1 many, many years ago, about 90, 96,
Oh
ninety
God.
seven. I had a PlayStation. I had Marvel Superheroes. I had Crash. I had three of the first three Tomb Raiders. Um, Me and my cousin used to play those all the time. He had Madden and all those other games, but
Hmm.
my PlayStation broke like around 2000. I've been so busy working that I haven't even had time to go back to gaming.
God damn it! So you're saying you have never played PS2, PS3?
No, I was this close to buying a PS2, but sadly the job I had at AmeriCorps, they told me that they didn't have a place for me in the organization.
Hmm.
So that Christmas I wasn't able to get a PS2.
God damn it! Okay, so how about a PS3?
I haven't been able to buy those because I've been out of work during that period. And just when I got a job, I lost the job, so I couldn't afford to get those type of things. I was like, I wanted to buy those things. I mean, if I had managed to keep a full time job, I would probably have PS2. I probably would have had a PS3. Probably would have had my own apartment, a Chevrolet Monte Carlo because I love Chevrolet Monte Carlos. Probably
Yeah,
would have had a Dodge Magnum.
no worries, man. We're gonna get you that PS2. No worries, man. We
Yeah,
got
I was this close to buying one.
you. Don't worry, we got you. We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you that PS2. I promise. Just
Yeah.
give us some time. We'll hook you up. So, Stranger Things season 4 has been confirmed for Netflix, and they're doing some new locations that have been teased. There was a teaser trailer for this that they're going to do some new locations outside of Hawkins, which was where they've been for the last 3 seasons. Um, Obviously, I think they're going to carry a lot of these same actors, probably some new characters. Stranger Things has been quite successful on the Netflix platform. A really old school vibe, sci-fi um, type of mystery type dark series with the light, a little, well, it adds light to it because they're kids. I liked it. I mean, I liked season 1 and 3. Season 2 was kind of hit or miss because there was some empty plot points. Have you seen Stranger Things?
I haven't seen it yet. I have to start watching because I get so caught up with writing. I got to get caught up on it. The last thing I saw on Netflix was Cannon Busters, and I have to get caught up on it because that's the one I've been wanting to take a look at, but I just haven't had the time.
Yeah, great show. Um, so I'm excited for this. Maybe when I watch all season 4, I'll do like a little overview video or something like that. Um, I'm definitely excited for that. And Netflix honestly has been quite on the decline. It hasn't really been a lot of good shows to watch. I don't know, and honestly, Netflix is losing a lot of money too because people are getting trials and then they're ending the trials, just like um, with Amazon. Rain
Yeah.
says I'll give him an hour consultation for $50, which is far less than what I would charge. He has to be ready to make a shift, accept raw critique, and get serious about being a businessman. Oh, hey, looks like Rain is trying to hook you up with the
Oh, I'd
1 hour
have to.
consultation.
I'd have to think about it.
Okay, that's a pretty good deal. All right, but cool. Okay, no problem. We appreciate that, Rain. That's what's up. That's cool. All right, let me go on the next one. And make sure you guys like the video and share the video. Also follow me on Twitter. All my information is in the description. Um, Sole Provider 2X, I think it is, and I have an Instagram, but I'm usually on Twitter. Um, tweet and retweet and do all that stuff. Let me get the next article up. And once again, Shawn, thanks for coming on.
Oh,
Um, I really appreciate that because, like you were saying, Black YouTube, the way it is, people would just ignore you. Most people would just, oh, well, look at him. He's a small guy, whatever. They'll just ignore me, right? But,
yeah.
you didn't think like that. You were kind of, you obviously you're intelligent. So you saw more potential in that. And trust me, man, I appreciate that for the long term. I'm already. I've been subscribed to you for a while ago. I mean, that's how I
Oh,
found your channel. Um, making sure to like your content and all that stuff.
okay.
So I appreciate that.
Well, I always like to help people out. I mean, these I do appearances on different shows because I figure I can reach new audiences, I can reach new readers, and I've always wanted to do a comic book show, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do your show, is because I love comics, I love science fiction, I love fantasy, and I like talking about science fiction and fantasy. So I look forward to doing this show. This one meant a lot to me.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Because, like I said, my last person, my old friend, he was a artist guy. He actually wants to make comics too. So it's funny how the next guest being you is actually a book writer, a comic book guy writer. So yeah, that's who I'm trying to get. I wish I could get someone who makes movies. That'd be so cool. Or short films. That'd be so
Yeah.
awesome. If I could do that, they're out there. I just had to reach out there and see. But I definitely love to get those type of people on the show just to kind of see their minds and all that stuff. Let me go to the next one. So I don't know. Do you watch? Oh, I know you're busy, but have you caught up with any of the? Do you caught up with Arrow? Do you watch
Uh,
Arrow?
I stopped watching Arrow a while back because what happened to John Diggle.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my thing. So the final season 8, right? I am happy it's ending. I am tired of Arrow. And I'll say this. The problem with CW is the budget. The budget is just never enough. And I feel like they try to shortcut almost every show on there. But what's weird to me is, the show called The 100?
Yeah.
That's on the CW network. But that budget is way higher than any DC show on CW.
But that could be because of the Prodco. If you have a good production company and they negotiate a
Oh.
better deal, you can get a bigger budget for your show.
Oh, okay. So
So
you think it's the production company?
yeah, because if you
Oh.
sign your script with a Prodco and you make a good deal with that Prodco and they pick up your show, they have to pick it up based on the budget you have. So they could probably have a producer who managed to make a better deal on their budgets. Now your Greg Berlanti, he might be just trying to do the show on a low end budget, but the people on the 100 may have a show that they're doing on a higher budget.
Hmm. Okay, that's why. Okay, okay. I'm glad you explained that because I was wondering. I'm like, The 100 is a really good, solid show, but when you look at all everything on CW, DC verse, it's just really poor. I mean, Gotham is terrible. Legends of Tomorrow is bad. Arrow's bad. Flash sucks.
Yeah, that's
Um,
all due to the production company because Greg Berlanti, he does things on this low budget and he really doesn't really put the money in the show that you see it on screen. Whereas
yeah,
the guys on the 100, they probably put the money in and you can see it on screen.
yeah.
It,
I mean, look at damn Black Lightning. Really?
yeah.
Who's taking that seriously? Like, I'm sure Black Lightning is way cooler in the comics than on that TV show.
Well, they made a mess of Black Lightning. That's really that shows disappointment.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Um, so Titans, right? Titans
Yeah,
though is really good. Like to me, Titans is like the highest quality DC show I've seen currently. Um, I didn't see season 2 yet. I'm gonna wait till the Blu-ray comes out, but season 1 is pretty good. It looks like Nightwing was confirmed for season 2. I mean, we've seen photos of it.
yeah.
Even the way season 1, well, sorry, spoilers, but the way it ended, Nightwing is coming into the fold, so I'm quite excited about that. Also, we got a lot of DC news, but first I wanted to cover Ghost Rider. So Ghost Rider was featured on Agents. What's that
Agents of
show?
Shield.
Yeah, Agents of Shield. And Ghost Rider premiered on that show. I tried watching that show first, but I couldn't because it sucked. But I've watched the Ghost Rider scenes on YouTube. So Ghost Rider was supposed to have a deal with Hulu, and I was really excited for this, but apparently it got canceled, and I don't know why. But Gabrielle Luna was the actor for Ghost Rider, and a lot of people liked him versus what we had with stupid Nicolas Cage back in the early 2000s. with Ghost Rider 1 and 2. Um, I don't blame I, I don't blame Cage completely on that. Um, I think Ghost Rider is a great hero. I think honestly, if you want to do kind of a dark side of Marvel, right?
Yeah,
Ghost Rider is a really good way to start, honestly. But
it
it
would
sucks
be.
that it got canceled.
Well, maybe it got canceled because of budget issues, or maybe they couldn't find a place for it. That because sometimes when a show they greenlit something and it gets canceled, it's because sometimes they just don't have the budget for it, or they do a test and they find out that there's no audience for it. I mean, Ghost Rider is a great concept as a comic, but the whole thing is that when it comes down to production, people sometimes they don't want to take a risk and spend those millions and then have nothing return.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, he's a really good character to have on screen. Like he's a really good character to have on screen. That's another thing too. I mean, he just really stands out. Did you hear about Jamie Foxx being Spawn? Did you hear
I
about
heard
that?
about that about a couple months ago. I mean, I think he could possibly pull it off, but I like Michael Jai White better.
Yeah. Um, just based on what Jamie Foxx has done, really as an actor, I'm gonna be honest, it's not that great. I mean, I loved like his best movie is Collateral with Brad Pitt, I think.
That
No,
was
no,
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. Dude, Collateral is a classic film.
Yeah, I saw it.
What else? He had Ray Charles. Okay,
Yeah,
classic. But that's it. I think everything else is just irrelevant, really.
he's better in drama than he is in comedy.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree to that. So we have some other establishments coming in. I don't know if you heard about this one. I tried to grab these certain ones for you because I know you'd know this kind of stuff. So Morbius screenwriters will have a Madam Web film. So Sony MCU universe of Marvel characters is about to get a lot bigger. Collider is reporting that the studio is beginning to develop a standalone film for Madam Web. To write the script, they enlisted the team of Matt Sazama and Burke Sharpless, who penned the screenplay for Morbius. Sony executive Palik Patel will oversee the project development. Now, I did see Madam Web in the animated series of Spider-Man. That's really all I saw of her. After that, I didn't really see her in anything else. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know about this one because Madam Web is more of a supporting character. I don't see her
Mhm.
as a main character, so I don't know if you could put a whole movie around this character because she's more of a character who was making psychic predictions to Spider-Man, and he would work on those psychic predictions. But I don't know if she would be able to carry a movie all by herself. So if I'm a Hollywood executive and I'm hearing this proposal, and I look at the background of this character, and I know the background of this character, I don't think it's a character that I would want to put money in on greenlighting a whole project for.
Yeah, I'd agree because yeah, definitely is a support character. I mean, how do you watch a film just solely based on her? This is kind of see now we're getting into my other aggravations. This is kind of like the Black Widow problem. I did a video on why I think Black Widow is irrelevant and on the MCU, and I think Black Widow has the same problem. I mean, it's not that she's a female. I mean, I could care less. I think she's cool, but they're adding Taskmaster, and they hinted Iron Man might appear in the film as well. And I'm telling you, and Red Guardian's going to be in the film. And I'm telling you right now, the only reason I'm watching that is because of Red Guardian and Taskmaster, because I've always wanted to see him on screen. I feel like this is kind of the same problem that we have here with Madam Web.
Yeah, Black Widow is more of a supporting character, but again, I don't see because she can't really carry a movie all by themselves. There are certain character. What I learned as a writer is that there are certain characters who are main characters and certain characters who are supporting characters. And
Hmm.
main characters usually are three-dimensional and they can carry a story from beginning to middle to end. Whereas a supporting character, their job is to take a character from one point of the story to the next.
Hmm.
So when you try to take a supporting character who's usually either two-dimensional or one-dimensional or sometimes two and a half dimensional and try to put them in a lead story, they can't usually carry the story. So usually what happens when you have a character like Black Widow, yeah, she's a heroine, but the problem is she just can't isn't strong enough to carry her own story in a film. And this is one of the things people don't understand about screenwriting and filmmaking is that when you have a lead character, they have to be able to carry the story from the introduction, which is the beginning, the middle part, the second act, and then the third act and the climax and the conclusion. And it's very hard for certain characters to do that. And with the Black Widow, I just don't see how she's going to be able to do that. And what makes her irrelevant, as I see it, is she died in Endgame. So why should people care about her as related to Phase 4? Because she's dead in Phase 3.
Yeah, right. They even started making little these desperate companies started making articles saying she might come back to life or some crap. I'm like, really? You guys are hilarious. She's better as a TV show on Disney Plus or something. I
Yeah,
don't think making a whole film project is on it. Even look what they did with Hawkeye. He's going to be on Disney Plus as a TV show. That's the best way to do it.
yeah,
Um, Honestly, I think something like a Loki, maybe he could have had his own film. He has enough weight to carry it. But someone like Hawkeye and even Ant Man, I did a video on Ant Man. I said, Ant Man 3 as a movie doesn't make sense, but Ant
no,
Man as a TV show
it could
does make sense.
it would work as a TV character. Because with Ant Man and the Wasp, it was really struggling to carry itself as a movie. I remember watching it on Netflix and saying, "This movie is just not strong enough. It's just not compelling enough. If it wasn't
It, it's
compared, if it wasn't connected to the MCU and Endgame, it would have died as a standalone movie."
Yeah. And here's my problem is why do this for Ant-Man when you could have done this for Hulk? Now,
Yeah,
but according to MCU canon, right? Incredible Hulk 1 with Edward what's that guy's last name?
Edward
Edward Norton.
Norton.
Yeah. That's official canon, right? So I guess that's why they didn't do another film with a Hulk solo film, but I think the actor we have now, I think a solo film with Hulk would be great, you know? I think that has a lot more weight than a Black Widow, Madam Web, Ant Man to me.
He would have been a stronger lead off for the Phase 4 if they did another Hulk movie.
Yeah, because I've also heard some rumors saying Red Hulk is coming to the MCU. Heard
How can
that.
you have Red Hulk come in if you're not going to do a Hulk movie? That's just not making sense.
Yeah, true. But there was some when we had the timeline of the MCU Phase 4, there was some blank slots open, right?
Yeah.
So it could potentially be in Phase 4, but we'll have to see. I mean, obviously with the confusion of uh Spider-Man, which oh my god, dude, um I was really tired of the Spider-Man backlash articles every single day. I mean, uh it was kind of exhausting. So Kevin Feige's making a Star Wars film, and Spider-Man is back in the MCU, which is cool. They're going to be doing a trilogy, and after the trilogy, he's going to be also in the Sony Spider-Man verse.
Oh,
So Morbius is going to be Jared Leto, as we know him as Joker from Suicide Squad.
yeah.
Um, there's going to be another Venom 2 film coming. We know Carnage is going to be in Venom 2. Looks like there's going to be some type of Spider-Man Venom film. That's going to be kind of cool. Um, I definitely want to see Morbius. I think that's going to be really interesting. But I guess it's going to be weird because let me know if I'm wrong on this. Wasn't Morbius connected to Blade?
He's loosely connected, but his origins start with Spider-Man. Morbius started in the Amazing Spider-Man,
Okay, because I thought
the six arm story.
Morbius had a child and that child was Blade. Am I wrong on that?
No, Blade was a separate person. He's a
Oh,
separate character.
okay. All right, okay. Well, I'm glad I fixed that for me because let me not get confused. Um, so what do you think about this Spider-Man crap that just got resolved? I mean, isn't it kind of dumb?
I was, but the whole thing is, it seems like either which way we lose because I wasn't a big fan of these Disney Spider-Man movies because they're just not like the comics at all, and Sony hasn't done a good job with it. I mean, I haven't seen a real Spider-Man movie based on the comics since the first Raimi movie,
Yeah, Raimi. Yeah,
The
I'll agree.
first two Raimi movies were just like the comics, but Disney Spider-Man, it's more like Cody Banks or some other Disney sitcom character, and a little bit of Batman Beyond mixed in. It's not Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a guy who does things on his own. He's a loner. He creates his own stuff, and his rogues gallery, he takes them on his own way. I mean, this is like Batman Beyond. It's like he's not Peter Parker. He's like Terry McGinnis, and that's one of the things that annoys me
Damn.
about this Disney version of Spider-Man is that he's Tony Stark's gopher and not his own man.
Yeah, true. A lot of people are calling him Iron Boy because he's so dependent on Tony Stark. I mean,
Yeah,
you had Iron Man in almost every single situation besides the boss fight,
yeah,
and then the second one, Far From Home, came out, and he's still depressed about Iron Man and all the other stuff. Um, I think Far From Home was not bad. I mean, I did like Mysterio. I think they got the perfect actor.
yeah,
I really do like seeing Mysterio on screen. I think that was a great pick. But I would agree that Raimi Spider-Man 1 and 2 is really good. Spider-Man 3 sucked. But I think Sandman was kind of cool.
yeah. He was the
And
special effects on that were all right, but the whole thing, the story fell apart.
yeah, and you're don't worry about watching Sony's Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. They're pretty bad. Just don't even worry about
Yeah, I caught Spider-Man, Sony Spider-Man 2 on TV, and I was disappointed.
it. Yeah. So, um what we have left is some DC news. But like I said, make sure to like the video, share it on Twitter, so we can get some retweets. So you can put it on Instagram as well. That definitely will help. And don't forget to subscribe if you're a new viewer. Videos are coming 1 to 4 videos a week, and I do these shows maybe once or twice a month. Um, so make sure you go ahead and do that. So Arrow, and this is the thing. This when I heard about this one, I was like, you guys just don't know when to stop because now they're trying to make rumors about a female Arrow coming right after the end of Arrow season 8, which um to me this is dumb. I mean, just let it go. Um,
Yeah, they're getting ready to do a spin-off series with these Black Canary characters. I think.
yeah,
I just wish they would just let it go and call it a day. But the Arrowverse, they just keep it going.
but I mean, I guess the ratings are good if they're doing all this right because all the money they're putting into it.
Well, actually, CW is just afraid because when in TV today, there's a lot of time slots open, and they're afraid if they have to put in a new show, it may take years for them to find a new show. So they figure if we put another show tied into the Arrowverse and replace Arrow with that, they can mitigate their losses on the schedule. Now, I've been studying television for over 30 years, and a lot of times this is what networks do is they try to go and play it safe by using a spin-off show to replace an old show that's leaving so
Mm,
that they won't wind up losing too much ad revenue and ad dollars because a new show, if you put in a new brand new show and a brand new concept in a new time slot, you're not going to really get the advertisers in unless that show really is a blockbuster from the first day.
okay, so you're talking about like Fear of the Walking Dead
Yeah,
or like a Boruto, even like
yeah,
Deadly
they'll do something like that because that means they can make money because if that slot is open and it's a brand new show, the audience may not come and pick that show up.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Eh, I guess, I mean, for the younger crowd, they're not gonna really see the whole business side of it like we might see it because
Yeah,
I already know like I'm not gonna waste my money on these type of shows. I'm just not. Um, and then you're gonna be kind of shocked on this one. So apparently, there's a Batgirl film that's reportedly going to be tied with the new Batman. And we just talked about this whole, all these, these female heroes are definitely getting more popular and popular, which is cool, right? Um, it's cool. Like I said, I don't have anything against a Black Widow, um, Catwoman. I mean, if they're cool, what is it? Harley Quinn. I don't, I saw the trailer. I'm still gonna watch it, but you know, quality over quantity, right?
Yeah,
So DC's Batgirl movie will tie in with the Batman, though the female adaptation of the famed criminal Kate Crusader has been around since 1961. To date, Batgirl has never had her own standalone feature film. So, with the success of Batgirl comic series and an upcoming Batwoman series set to come on October 6th, it's evident that fans are eager to see a female counterpart to Batman share a little bit of the superhero spotlight. Um, so, honestly, I'm actually more excited for Batgirl than Black Widow. I think.
it depends on how they do it. It depends on how you do Batgirl. I mean, there's something there with the character that you
Hmm.
can do with Batgirl because she's a little bit more substance and a little bit more layers. But the big problem is Warner Brothers just doesn't know how to execute on concept. I mean, with Batwoman, they had a chance to do something good, but then we got the social justice nightmare. So I don't know what they're going to do with Batgirl. I just don't trust Warner Brothers as we speak. I mean, when they're good, we get Wonder Woman, Shazam, and Aquaman, but when they're terrible, we get Birds of Prey. And
Yeah, a lot of people call them turrets of prey. I make
yeah,
jokes. I mean, true. And you mentioned the good films. Yeah,
yeah,
Aquaman was great, man. Aquaman was so good. Shazam was great. Wonder Woman, perfect. If you want to do female heroes like that, follow the model of Wonder Woman because
yeah,
they tackled it all in one go. Um, if they can model that over, Batgirl or Harley Quinn, all this stuff, then great. But like you said, if it's good, if the character development's there, the story's there, everything's there, and it's not just focused on social justice like Captain Marvel was,
yeah,
then cool. But here's the thing: Captain Marvel, she actually, I think she got kicked out of the MCU, but her film did great with 1 billion. But I think with Kevin Feige going in with Star Wars stuff, I think there was a rumor that Brie Larson might go into Star Wars, maybe potentially.
poor Star Wars. They can't win.
Oh man, I don't understand, man. I really don't. I didn't really. I liked Captain Marvel, but it's not like a film I could watch many times again. It just there was too many jabs in the film. I'm like, okay, this is kind of obvious. I get the message, I get it, but Wonder Woman didn't have to be so obvious. It didn't have
Yeah,
to make it so damn obvious. And there was one joke in the film where they were scanning who's the guy? Fury, right? And they
yeah,
said no threat. To me that was like a jab. To me that was a jab to like a black male. But I don't know if anyone else saw it like that.
yeah.
So okay, we talked about Harley Quinn. Okay. So yeah, now I mean DC's kind of blowing up here because now they're saying there's going to be a Nightwing film coming. It says Robin may appear in the Batman movies before Nightwing solo film. So Robin may be coming to the big screen sooner rather than later, with fresh whispers emerging that the character will make an experience in the Batman before jumping to a solo Nightwing film. Created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane, the character has been known as Dick Grayson, debuted on the pages of Detective Comics in 1940. In 1984, however, he opted to find himself within the shadow as Nightwing. The journey is currently being explored on the DC Universe series Titans. Yep. So, um, the last time we saw a good Robin on film was never, pretty much. Um, I mean, Robin was in Batman Forever, but that didn't really do so well.
No, they didn't execute him properly, but that was Joel Schumacher.
Yeah. But okay, I know that series gets a lot of hate, right? I get it. But Jim Carrey, Riddler, really? I mean, that's a classic to me, honestly.
I mean, he was good, and Val Kilmer did the best that he could, but it was Joel Schumacher's vision that ruined that movie.
Yeah. I really did like Jim Carrey as Riddler. I mean, he really went in. Um, Even Tommy Lee Jones as Two Face wasn't too bad, but it was kind of corny.
Yeah,
Um, I agree. So that's really all the news I have. We actually covered everything, Sean.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, that was a lot. I know it was a lot, but um, thanks for coming on to the show. Do you have any other remarks or anything?
Uh,
You can
well,
advertise or
I just
anything.
want everybody to know again about my work that's available on Amazon.com. If it's possible, I'll try to leave a link
Yeah,
in the chat.
I got your links in the description too.
Okay. Well, my work is available on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle formats, and you can pick up books that are in the 2019 SJS Direct catalog, like John Haynes' Dark Succubus, which is available on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. Isis, All That Glitters, which is available in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon. Esteemed Goddess of. And you can pick up all three of these books on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read them for free. And you can pick up the other books in the John Haynes series, like The Temptation of John Haynes, The Man Who Rules the World, and A Conversation with Death. And you can also pick up the Isis and Esteem series books on Amazon in paperback and Kindle formats. And you can check out my YouTube channel, which is Shawn James, which you can see I make videos almost every day over there. It's just like fresh daily content. And there I talk about issues in the black community, men's issues, science fiction, fantasy, comic books, the goth subculture, and a whole host of other variety of topics. And I also have a Patreon and a PayPal and a Cash App. So if you want to donate there to help me pay for book covers, you can do that. But I really want to get more readers picking up my books, so I'd really appreciate it if guys would pick up my books on Amazon. Lots of great fantasy titles there, lots of great books there. So I just hope you guys come out and pick up the books because they're great reading.
Yeah. All right, we'll do that. And we have your links down below. We have Patreon, your Twitter, your Blogspot, and we have your Amazon
Okay,
um, bookstore. So thanks for coming on, Sean. I definitely appreciate it. You're always welcome to come on the show and nerd out with me on the
okay,
weekend. We'll see you guys later. Be sure to subscribe and like the video and share it around. And if you're watching the replay, make sure to also leave a comment and all that stuff. So anyway, guys, peace out and have a good rest of the weekend.
thank you for having me.